What's up, Internet? It's Matt at Overkill Woodcraft, and today I'm excited to share with you this Reolink Argus 4 Pro. They sent this to me in advance so I could review it and use it prior to making this video. And that's exactly what I've been doing for about 3 weeks. I've had a few of these around my property, and I'm definitely impressed with it. So I want to go over some of the key features that make this camera stand out, and then I'll show you what's in the box and a quick installation process. I'll also show you the Reolink app and how this is used in there and some of the functions and features that it has. And then I'll talk about not necessarily what I'd consider pros and cons, but where this camera is most suitable to be used. Because one of the key features of this camera is it's 4K and 180-degree field of view. Now that's very useful in some situations, and it is a beautiful, clean, crisp picture. But, you know, there's obviously some situations where it's probably not going to be the best field of view to have, you know, when you're looking at certain objects or monitoring certain things. Another really cool feature about this camera is there's no night vision on it. It's 24/7 full daytime vision. And again, with that 4K, it's a beautiful picture. Now, I will say with that, you do need to have just a tiny bit, at a very minimum, a little bit of ambient light. And I live out in the woods. Things are pretty dark at night here, and I've had no issues. I mean, I have a couple little solar lights here and there and some different spots where I have these, but for the most part, as long as it's not super cloudy and pitch black, you're gonna be able to see things at night just fine with this. It also has 30% more battery, and now while I don't have some scientific breakdown of how long this battery lasts, I will say that when I first installed these, I wasn't totally sure, you know, of where I wanted the exact camera placement to be. So I didn't bother going ahead and hooking up the solar panel that it comes with. But I had them running for about a week and in pretty high traffic areas, and I want to say I still had at least half the battery left on these before I moved them around. So a lot of notifications going on, and this thing was showing no sign of being drained anytime soon. And because these are Wi-Fi, you can pretty much install them anywhere. Now, of course, that really depends on your internet capabilities. But again, I'm out here in the woods and my internet is not always the best. But I think I had one of these about 150 feet out from my house at one point, and I was having no problems with playback for alerts or connecting to the camera at all. So with that being said, I'll show you what's in the box and then a quick install process. So let's quickly go through what's in the box. In here you have, you know, just a nice sticker, your operation instructions, and a quick start guide. Then here's the solar panel. It's very nice. It has some good weight to it. It's definitely a quality solar panel. Here's the mounting bracket for your solar panel. In here are the harnesses for mounting along with a plate, and then a foam backer which goes in the mount for the solar panel. And that helps with the bracket and the strap keeping it in place, along with all the screws you need. Then in this box next to the camera itself, you've got the straps for the mounting option. That way with the camera, USB cable, and the ball mount, which I'll show you in a second. And then another bracket, which would also go with the strap mount option. Now for the camera itself, this is your USB plug in the back. This is where your solar panel goes in for the USB port. On the bottom here is where you would insert your micro SD, as well as do the initial setup. And then I think this ball mount is pretty cool the way this is set up. It's a lot easier to mount than some of the past cameras I've had. You essentially just, you know, screw this into wherever and then screw that on. And that is what tightens down the swivel ball. There have been a few instances where I wish it had a little bit more depth to it, but I mean, it really doesn't hinder anything. So like I said, it's pretty cool. It's simple and easy to do. So here's a quick install process, and situations like this where you really don't have anything flat to, you know, just screw these directly into, this whole strap system works really well. So I'm just mounting it here to one of my support poles underneath my deck. Really simple and straightforward, just tightening that strap down as best as I can. And I believe the suggestion is 7 to 8 feet above the ground and just angled downwards slightly at like a 10 or 15 degree angle. And then of course you want to make sure that that solar panel is going to be getting plenty of sunlight. But other than that, there's really not a whole lot to it. It Takes maybe 5 minutes total. Just make sure you plug that
so
USB
please
cable into the back of the
white
camera,
block
nice and
on
secure,
the right side of my screen here. That's actually the end of my gutter. I found this was just the best spot for this camera, and I really wanted to have one looking at this, which you're probably going to have a hard time seeing unless I zoom in here, but that is my chicken tunnel here along this back side of my fence. And the reason why I wanted one of these cameras here is because of, one, how advanced it is. I knew it would do a better job of letting me know when I've got a predator problem. Specifically, I've had some raccoons lately, and because, again, how advanced this is, it does a great job at, differentiating between, my chickens, not triggering false alarms as much. I mean, it's a little bit more difficult because the size of the chicken and the raccoon, but the good thing about this is, and I'll show you in some of the settings, is you can go in and set when you want it to detect and, send those alarms to you. So I have this set to go off at certain times, aka when the raccoons come out, and that lets me know. So it's been really good at this and helping me with that, and we'll go ahead and show you some of the features in the settings. I apologize for having to switch back and forth on my phone between, vertical and horizontal. As you can see down here, you've got the ability to talk into the microphone and, freak out some family members when you want to play a prank on them. You've also got the playback option down here. And then when you go into playback, you do have the ability to download these just by tapping on that button in the upper right, and that's been nice to have. Then you've got the ability to differentiate between the camera or the quality types. You can also just take a screen grab, essentially, of that. So if you're just live viewing and you want to specifically, get a screenshot of something, you can just do that. You can turn off the microphone volume, and then we'll go to the settings. So we'll start with display, and I'm not going to break down every little thing in here, but just show you what are some of the key features, I believe. But so, you can have the ability to hide the watermark that comes on here, which I always do. You have a privacy mask to block out certain areas for whatever reason, if that's what you want. So it's a good option to have. You can go in here and adjust the brightness and the shadows. There's a few options for the audio settings. And this is where these cameras really shine, in my opinion, is the ability to adjust the sensitivity for your PIR motion settings. And then when you go into the detection alarm, this is really where it does a great job at differentiating the sensitivity between, people, vehicles, and animals. And that is a really nice feature to have. It really cuts down on a lot of the false alarms that you would receive. And then another great feature that it has is adjusting the minimum and maximum object size. So, for example, if you have like a cat or a dog that is always going to be in a certain area, you can make that the minimum object size and say, don't detect anything smaller than this, or you can make the object size slightly bigger than that, so it's not always being triggered, by that animal. But you can also break that down with vehicles and people as well. So it's really nice to have. I've just found with, a lot of the older models and different brands that I have, I would get a ton of false alarms. And that was for numerous different reasons. Like stuff like a tree blowing, in the wind would trigger these alarms. So being able to differentiate between the things that matter, which in my opinion are people, vehicles, and animals, is really helpful, because you don't want these cameras essentially crying wolf. You don't want to become desensitized to the alarms on this and think, oh, well, it's probably, just a leaf blowing across my driveway or something like that, because then these cameras might as well just be paperweights if you're not, taking them seriously, or you think every time it goes off, it's just a false alarm. And then just a little bit further down here is nice. So you can just choose how you want the notifications, whether it's emails or just push notifications on your phone. You can change the siren, and, there's even options for like doing a time lapse and everything. So those are the main features, I think, the most important ones. But I just like how smoothly and seamlessly this app operates. And I like how much you can customize things. So really pleased with the Reolink app. I've used 4 or 5 different brands of security cameras and, home Wi-Fi cameras, if you will. And hands down, this has been the best app that I've dealt with. So
So there it is for the most part. So just real quick in summary to cover a few things, and like I said, kind of not necessarily the pros and cons, but it's got that beautiful 4K 180 degree blind spot free picture. But again, there's some situations where that's probably not going to be like the best view for you. If you're trying to monitor just like, I don't know, a door or something like that is completely vertical, this probably isn't necessarily the right camera for you. It's more suitable for, I'd say, a little bit further back, looking down and wider areas, pathways. There's a lot of different situations. The front of the house, I had this looking at the front of my house for a while. Great for looking at like backyards or side yards. I mean, a lot of different applications, but it's only fair to say that there are certain situations where you're probably not going to want to use this one. The good thing is they have plenty of other awesome models to choose from, a couple of which are already in use on my property for those other situations. And with that all day color, that full daytime vision, it's nice not having the black and white or needing to use like a floodlight or something like a lot of models have. But again, if you're in a completely pitch black area, it's not going to work. So just something to keep in mind. The great thing about these being Wi-Fi and not a SIM card is that you don't have to pay for like a SIM card plan, or really there's no cost at all besides the camera itself. There's no subscription fees, there's no cloud fees or anything like that. It all stores on an SD card, and you're just paying for your Wi-Fi and for the camera. So that's what I really love about these. It's really good at keeping your monthly overhead costs down. And then the versatility of the installation and how you can basically use this anywhere as long as your Wi-Fi supports it. So these are cameras that I definitely recommend. I mean, like I said, I have a few different models of theirs and none of them have disappointed me. Reolink's been in business for a while. They're actually celebrating their 15th anniversary soon. From June 17th to the 25th, they're going to have sales going on. And then I'll leave a link down in the description for 25% off this camera. So if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and check it out. I'd like to say thanks to Reolink for partnering with me on this. They've been great. Their customer service has always been phenomenal for me. And again, I really don't have any issues with their products. I mean, they perform exactly how I expect them to, and they never really let me down. So if you have any questions, drop them down in the comments and I'll be glad to answer them. And until next time, take it easy.